really doing it,
We're really doing it.
fellas?
Direct away.
It's happening? Oh my God. Aguilar Podcast Ep.1.
Wow. This is strange, but really cool. We got Ian Allison here and all the way from the Midwest. And dude, thanks for stopping by. And
Oh my God, it's my pleasure.
we got a bunch of stuff we're going to cover today, but that's all I'm going to say. It's over to you now. I'm
It's
done.
over to me.
I quit. Yeah, we're done.
It's over to me. I mean, we've been talking a lot just about music stuff in general. And we've been talking a lot about, talked about brand. And we've been talking
about
too
life,
about about approach to playing and stuff. And something I just want to tell you, you're an awesome bass player.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're a freaking awesome bass player. And we were talking about like approach to playing the instrument. And you were asking me about like playing light versus playing really hard. I remember when I first became aware of Aguilar, it was via Gary Willis.
Hey.
And Gary Willis talking about that thing of like, have a big amplifier that has too much horsepower, that has, and cabinets that are going to feel big and good and whatever that is, and then play light. Turn your amp way up. Turn your amp up more than halfway. Like bass players are always I am always like, oh no, what if I turn it up more than halfway, it's going to, something's going to break and then focus on playing light.
Yeah. Well, we were talking earlier with the amps about, the gain stage and just the preamp and playing with that knob to find, the character and the vibe you're going for. And we were having so much fun just playing with that before we even touched EQ.
Yes.
Or anything like that.
EQ's flat. Okay. So if I'm here.
So So I'll start to write up the gain. Yeah. Like just that jump, all of a sudden we're getting a little bit more of that like kind of soft compression. We're getting a little bit woollier at the top of the nose,
Yeah.
And then probably going to go heads up to the audio guy.
What's up, Jeff?
Shout out to Jeff and Pete in the room.
Right.
So now we're getting that kind of like woolly, like,
Yeah, right.
And that's just in this gain stage, And then you could dial it back if you want, clean it up a bit.
And you're compensating with volume.
And that's it,
And the whole time, too, I'm not playing this. Like, I'll just turn the volume down to compensate for this, too. But I'm not playing this.
No, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But
Because
even
that's another way to do it, right? Like if I played here. Right?
Yeah, and now we're breaking it up. Yeah.
Right.
And now we're kind of like cleaned up again. So like right there, and I think this is in general for any bass player, any amp, whatever, the preamp that's your sound. That's where it starts. That's the roux, and then we can kind of go to town.
Dude, did you say the roux? Are we
roux.
talking like a cooking, that like a sauce, dude? You working on that roux like all day?
What were we saying? Food is love, man. Dude, if the roux ain't right, that gumbo ain't gonna taste good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So to me, that's the roux knob. There we go.
Dude, I have never thought of it that way, ever. But you're so right. And especially, and there also, we've got some new...
We've got stuff to talk about.
We've got some really lovely new amplifiers here today, right?
But let's
I
talk
thought it was a
food.
pretty smooth seg right into it, though, right?
It wasn't intentional,
That was
but maybe it's just I'm really hungry, and so this is basically one Oreo stack, and I love double stuffed Oreos.
Yeah, man,
So,
I know.
Yeah, but I agree. I think for bass players in general, like seeing how something feels, seeing how does it inspire you. I think those are, it's a lot more of those like gray area qualities that we don't talk enough about. Specs are specs, but when you plug into something, does it make you want to make music,
Right.
And going down that rabbit hole is better.
Well, and for the longest time, I was always in search of like the best amp. Okay.
Yeah.
So like holy grail. So that, I guess for me, that just meant it started to mean like expensive and it started to mean hard to get. And so I chased old SVTs. I chased Aguilar DB750. I chased Sadowski SA200.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Right? And to find, I remember, check this out, man. I remember I bought a SA200 from a guy, and it was expensive. And I remember telling my wife, I have the opportunity to get the best amp. I mean, and this is when I was grown too. Like, I mean, this is like, I'm just admitting to you and to everyone that I still suffer from this stupid notion that there's something out there that's the best or the pinnacle. And I remember my wife saying, well, what do you mean it's the best? And I'm like, it's like the holy grail. And it's like, they're so rare and they're supposed to be so awesome and it's the best. And she said to me, but why do you need the best amp? And I said, because it's the best. And she said, yeah, but if you're a good bass player, shouldn't you don't need the best because it's going to be like your playing is the thing that should speak. And I was like,
interesting.
But it's the best.
Do you know Roger Sadowski?
Well, and then, you know.
But I think that, that kind of brings up an interesting topic, like for me personally. So just kind of going away from this for a second, I think this idea that you just said it, right? That I want the best of something. And it reminds me of two quotes from two really important people in my life. One of them actually is Vinny Federa from Federa Guitars.
Yep.
Worked with those guys for years and shout out to Vin, Joey and the crew, Laura and everyone there. And, Vin, one of the lines that always stuck with me, he says, people need to see amazing stuff and get their brains turned on by it. They need that moment. And for him growing up, it was the tailor shop where his dad worked, seeing his dad craft a suit and take time to measure, around people's body types. Why? To make them feel amazing.
Yes.
Or to go to a museum and see art. I think art, to me, art is the thing that changes the world, right? Art is the thing that helps us to communicate a thought from a deep place and be inspired by it. And to me, great design of any kind, especially in the amps or preamps or whatever you want to do, it should be amazing and it should inspire you, and you are worth it.
That's cool.
You are. And my grandmother was really big on that. She used to have this phrase. She didn't believe in kids' tables. Right. Her thing was always, there's one dinner table and you're all sitting at it and you're going to eat what everyone else is eating.
Right.
We're not going to give you chicken tenders because we thought, well, they're not going to get the fragua, they're not going to get the filet mignon. They'll have dinosaurs. And for her, that was off because there's such an openness and an innocence to being a kid, right?
Yeah.
And then they try the filet mignon and they're like, that's different.
Right.
I don't have a reference point, but that's amazing.
Right.
So to me, with amplifiers in general, it's or in instruments, don't say I'm not good enough yet to get a custom bass. Just say, I want something for me, and I deserve it because I deserve good things.
I love that.
So
I love that. Sadowski SA200 plot twist.
Plot twist. Here we go.
Check this out. It wasn't the best.
Yeah.
It was another amp that was awesome. It was a flavor, right? It was a flavor of amp that was awesome. And what I discovered is that I fell prey to the all tube was better thing. And all tube is amazing, but it isn't necessarily better than. It's not superior.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just a different flavor.
It's a different flavor, exactly.
But I really fell prey to forum talk or just my own narrative around oh, it's more expensive, it's heavier, it's more finicky, and it's cooler. There's a, it's cool in a way. Yeah. But then what I discovered is I had some big failures on some gigs that were really consequential.
Tubes on tour, man. Yeah.
Yes, tubes on tour, power tubes on tour in particular.
Oof. Oh, man.
Jeez, yeah. Because when the bass stops working, it doesn't, no one cared about my subtly improved tone from an all-tube rig at that gig. When the bass stops working, the band leader is like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what it did is it drove me to, I want something that is going to work all the time and that I don't have to worry about not working. Yeah. And then I do check it out. I thought, of course, I'll have to sacrifice an aspect of tone because it's not the best, because it's not an all-tube platform. And what I discovered is when I came to an amp like this, is that I liked it better.
Yeah, I feel like the tool's the tool, right? And like I was saying earlier, I think it's got to inspire you first.
Yeah.
Because no one in the 15th row of the stadium is saying, I noticed a little bit more distortion from that extra power tube in the back. Like, no one cares. They're there to experience, music, right? But they're going to experience an inspired version of you or an uninspired version of you.
Yes.
And that makes its way to the performance, and that's what people are going to remember.
Yes.
And so I think helping people to find their voice with any amp, whether it's solid state, whether it's tube. I mean, I come from, a studio background, and we plug into a lot of different preamps to see like, hey, is this the vibe and flavor that we're wanting? Some of them might be solid. Some of them might be tubey. Some of them might be tubey, but clean tubey. You know, like Millennia does that a lot.
Right.
Anyways,
yes.
So, yeah, there's a lot of brands.
Yeah, or like Noble. You know, people
exactly.
wonder, because it's all tube, or like because it's a tube high voltage tube pre, it's going to get gritty. It does not.
No.
It's super clean. And so, yeah, there's a lot of misnomers that, like, for me, I had that tube is better and gritty. And both of those things can be true or cannot be true.
Yeah,
there's gray area.
There's gray area.
Yes.
And even amongst the engineering world, there's gray area.
Yes.
So none of us can agree. But I think, again, to me, it comes down to the gear is an extension of you and your personality. You're curating an experience for yourself musically. So.
Yep. And I always thought, if we take a look at this beautiful double stack Oreo situation again over here.
Double stuffed Oreo.
Dude, what's up?
We got stuff.
I always thought of myself as more of an AG guy.
Yeah.
And when you showed me these amplifiers side by side today, I leaned tone hammer.
Yeah. Tone
which was
hammer,
so fun.
Yeah, it's funny. So just kind of like to our point earlier about just messing with the gain stage, like we were talking about, this amp has barely any distortion built into it. Yeah, harmonic distortion, which is a good distortion. We're not talking like overdrive. We're talking about how that preamp is baked. Whereas the tone hammer is a lot of distortion in it, and it's got a different character. Yes. So we got a chance to A/B, and it was like, you've played the AG7, you've on tour, familiar, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is different, and we didn't touch knobs, we just went in.
Just pre.
But
it's interesting, man, because when you say distortion, I think of Rex Brown with Pantera.
Yeah,
I think of Doug Pinnick with King's X. Like, I think, right? And it's not, there's like a subtle warmth or saturation that doesn't come out as like full-on grit.
Yeah.
With this gain knob at noon, kind of. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
Can we just like show that one more time?
Yeah.
Like if I just play something simple here.
So now we're pretty much very light on the gain. And remember, there's a lot of distortion in it anyways, so it's still pretty warm, but the second you go to noon, I'll compensate with the volume, but we got woolly.
Yeah. But it's that thing of like edge of breakup, like we were talking about, where it's not. It's if you play light, you don't really hear it broken up, but when you dig,
yeah.
And then you have this knob as well.
Oh, the drive.
Yep.
Let's have fun. So I'll just keep bringing it up.
But it's subtle.
But it makes a big difference, especially how, like, I could hear even how you play the note changes a little bit.
Yeah.
Seeing you get some of that, like, tubey-ish breakup when you, like, really hit it hard. But you don't have to.
Yeah, you can play it quiet.
Yeah. And it's
even
got
low,
that
and it's nice. But then if you go...
Yeah. And, let's just have some fun. This is a podcast. Let's get more.
How are we, Jeff?
Let us know when we're clipping. Now we clipped.
What it made me want to do is do like...
There we go. So we were talking about this earlier. This is important for bass players. This is the roux, right? We were always. I was telling Ian, like growing up, I used to always think the gain is the thing you turn up all the way until you see lights flashing, and that's when you know you're not going to break your amp.
Yes,
which is not true.
Right, it's not true.
No.
But look at that. You've got, there's no EQ happening here.
Nothing.
That's all just with the gain and drive knobs. And then if we clean it back up again, like let's clean it way up, right? We'll compensate with this. And if I play this line,
it's a whole different amp.
Totally.
It's the warm, but It's got a different vibe. And you could get it to do, like. And then it does that thing, but then, we bring it back. I mean, just for fun, let's see. It's just like, what's your flavor?
Oh, man. And that's really fun and flexible.
Yeah.
And I had not dug into the tone hammer to that degree to try to break it by turning knobs. And you can't break it, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But try to really get an extreme thing out of it.
Yeah.
I'm always, I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm sort of hesitant with knobs on amps because I feel like I'm going to blow up a speaker or something. But you're not going to do that.
No. Be careful with the volume knob. There's a lot of juice on there,
It's
but
just PSA,
PSA, please.
Both cameras, PSA. Be careful with the
if your
volume knob.
210 is farting out on an outdoor, festival, you should probably get more speakers, not a louder amp. So
that's a good call.
Yes.
That's a good call, right? More speakers disperses the power.
Sound pressure. You need to push more air. So because we had some people, man, 700 watts not loud enough. No, it is. You need more surface area to push more air and make more pressure. So PSA.
Tell me, these are redesigned.
Yeah.
And they're freaking beautiful, dude.
So, well, thank you. I mean, we've been working really hard on these. It's been a long time coming. We've had, a whole road of engineering and we're finally here. And, the kind of the inspiration for this, with Aguilar, obviously any of our products, we want to make sure that we're, asking the questions of what's the needs of our musicians? What is the world looking like and how can our products serve that world?
Yes.
And so, these are two very beloved amplifiers, right? And you could argue if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Cool. But there's always room to evolve and grow. And we said, you know what, let's take that challenge with these amplifiers. And so we said, how can we elevate them? So for both the AG and the tone hammer, the front end, so the preamp, we didn't mess with that. That's the same sounds our customers have come to know and love, and it's great. But there's a lot more going under the hood that, you don't see that really add a lot of, I think, value. And one of them is, so on the 500s, now we have a new power module. So still 500 continuous watts, but these are universal mains on these, so you can travel anywhere in the world. Just don't forget your plug. We always do. Please remember to bring your plug. And also these can go down to 2.67 ohms, which means...
So 4-ohm cabinet with an 8-ohm cabinet.
Yeah, which is really a great little solution. So, if you got if this was a 4-ohm 212, this is probably great for the majority of stuff. But hey, you might get an outdoor festival gig and you're finally like, cool, you got an 8-ohm cabinet? Cool. Just pair it and you'll be good and you can move some more air. So extra flexibility out of it. But also we added a lot of stuff in the back. So for the first time ever, our amplifiers are going to have cabinet IRs that we've made of all our SLs and DBs, and we're really excited about it.
And these have that.
All of them have it. So you'll get 3 slots. It comes preloaded with an SL112, an SL410, and a DB410.
Yep.
And the whole point of that was to do 2 things. So on the back, and we could probably do a cutaway of this, I guess, at some point in post. But we'll on the front, you got your normal DI. So this is like plain Jane DI, we all know. But on the back, we added a second one. So that has the IRs applied to it and all the EQ. So for musicians out there, especially with in-ears, we all know, right, the dilemma of I want to send a clean front of house signal, but my monitor mix is not going to be where I want it. And I might not have my rig, but I want to feel like I have it. Well, great. You can send to your monitor mix an independent signal with IRs, all that, EQ it to def. You could have distortion on it, like Ian was doing the entire jazz trio, time, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Which could be really cool, right? In the middle, like everyone is playing ballads, but in your in-ears, you're just like,
Dude,
that's
like,
there you go. And then we're like, man, he crushed it that night, right? So and that's why we put it in. That's the whole reason. No, but and then of course headphone and aux in, but with the IR, so you can get that sound, and which great, you could do 2 tracks out of it if you're recording at home. Have a clean signal, have something EQ'd with IR. You can blend. You can do a whole bunch of really cool little things with it.
So, like I'm in preschool, 2 DIs.
2 DIs.
1 DI in the front that is clean, not affected by the IRs.
No.
And the one in the back is the IR DI. I love it. So, okay, so you're saying you could choose to take something for your ears that front of house doesn't get if they want something clean. But I also love this idea of sending 2 lines to front of house. Front of house has control to go big bottom end on the clean DI line, and then maybe high pass the like IR line and go kind of grittier with that, use it in that way. And just before we started this, you put headphones on me and showed me the 3 IRs.
Yeah.
And they're rad.
Yeah. It really makes a difference. It really does. It turns, that clean DI sound that, like I said, could not be the most inspiring to all of a sudden like, oh, there we go. That feels like home,
Right.
So
and are we taking a DI line out of the back of that too?
So
should we just run the IRs?
Yeah.
Okay. We won't hear the IR change out here in the room, right?
Not in the room, but in post.
But you're gonna hear it.
You're gonna help us.
You want to cycle through them?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm gonna hop to the back for a second, Jeff.
I'm just gonna clean this up slightly. And I can talk to him about what we got going on. So what are we going to start with?
So we're going to start. So this is just flat. So meaning, no IR applied.
Okay, so flat.
112 that you're going to be hearing.
Cool, SL 112. Here's the SL 410. DB 410. And that's a little drivey sounding, right? But I mean, we can even clean it up a touch, push the volume in the room a little bit, but you still have that IR thing.
Yeah.
Even with a clean signal.
And the IRs we did, we intentionally, we recorded them a certain way. We really wanted to try to get this really flat response from the mic. We went and, a lot of mics, especially like D112s and a lot of the stuff you typically see thrown in front of boxes, it's not the sound of the cabinet.
No.
It's the sound of the cabinet and the mic.
Yes.
So
and it's weird.
It's weird. And so that was like a big quirk that we were trying to fix with this is let's actually go after very boring mics to find the right one.
Like a flat.
Yeah.
Right.
So we wanted to go that direction and then really find that sweet spot within the front of the cabinet to get it to have the character of literally, we put it in, recorded one, put a file through it, and then we just headphones on off. Like,
whoa.
Is that? Yeah. And it was literally like 4 of us in a room and we were just debating like, no, move it over like just that much. Okay, now we get some of that. So,
what mics did you end up using? Can you say? Or is it, is it like,
I'm under NDA.
Like a dart is going to hit me in the neck? I don't know.
Yes, out of nowhere. We'll keep it a secret because you know what? Why not? But that's the journey we went through with it. And it's hard. I think that's anytime, you're making these calls in product design, you're trying to think about the question behind the question, right? So if someone says, I want to hear my cabinet. Okay, I want to hear my cabinet. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Because chances are, if I put a D112 in front of this, that you're going to say, that's not my cabinet.
Right. Oh, the microphone is such a big deal.
Exactly. So we really tried hard to get that. And we're even exploring ways now to think about emulating cabinets as opposed to impulse response.
Yes.
So there's a lot of work to have. But bottom line is these all have this IR capability. They all have the universal mains. All you really have to decide is what's my flavor and how much watts do I want? Do you want 700 or do you want 500?
I love
That's
it.
So
should we? I mean, I know we'd have to change some cables, but I feel like people are going to say, "Oh, but they didn't talk about the AG."
Yeah,
can we just do it?
AG? Absolutely,
and just hear the cleanliness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commercial
cool.
break.
Maybe after
Right.
Pete changes the battery. Okay, we're back.
We're back.
And before we switch to the AG, I have to say too, the thing about the IRs that is really exciting to me is there is nothing I hate more than being at a gig when front of house is like, "Hey, we're gonna take the DI, and we're gonna mic your amp too." And the reason I hate it is for two reasons. Number one, I seem to always, with my big stupid feet, like kick the mic over. Or like it's always on a precarious stand, and then I look halfway through the gig and it's miking the side of the cabinet, not the speaker. That's one. And then that occupies mental capacity for me. And two is I'm suddenly worried. I'm suddenly absolutely OCD devastated about phase.
Yeah.
Because I do a bunch of sessions. When you try to combine bass signals, it's hard.
Yep.
Once you get more than one thing, now you have this ability to where if the phase is out, now your bass sounds tiny, terrible. And so I love the idea of if you want to do the mic'd amp sound,
exactly.
You have something that never changes. You can't kick the frickin' mic over. And if there's any phase relationship, you fix it. You either flip it, you leave it, but then it's not variable. It doesn't change throughout the gig. The stand doesn't sag. You know, the XLR to the microphone doesn't get yanked by, you know what I'm saying?
No, I totally get what you're saying.
It takes so much anxiety out of my live sound translating. And that for me is like the biggest reason. Like if a front of house wanted to take both of these lines, I'd be like, absolutely.
Go ahead,
do it.
Yeah.
So kudos, dude.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we want to give you the options. Want to hear AG?
Yeah, let's do the
Let's
AG.
do the. So we're gonna switch a bunch of cables.
Oh, it's live television, huh? We're just doing it. We're just switching it.
I love it.
Oh yeah, come on.
Shocked. All right. And we got it.
I'm so close.
All right, we're almost there, guys. Here we go. Hold on. Oh, we got juice. Let's see.
I think we got juice.
Ooh, very different.
So different.
Sorry, no, that was like a natural reaction. This is not stage. We live. Oh, we got to switch the back DI.
Sorry,
the most important
sorry.
part. Boom. Hey.
I can't see where it goes, dude. I'm so sorry.
Hey, we did
Okay, we got both DIs.
it. All right. Yay.
I mean, okay.
Okay, go. Yeah, I'm really curious. Honestly, this was like a surprise for me. Like, my ears are kind of like readjusting right now.
This was the thing that I, like when I am out on the road with Eric Hutchinson, this is what I always ask for. I ask for an AG 700 and then either 212, 410. But I love this sound because I'm making a bunch of sounds on the floor with effects as well.
Yeah.
And so I like to have this, think of this as like a clean platform that's going to take effects really well, that's going to be like a really nice representation of the sounds I'm sending into the amplifier.
Absolutely.
But it is a very different voice than this, right?
And it never really really breaks up. You
No.
know, that's the other thing about it. Like, we'll keep messing with the game.
Yeah, do it.
But like, this is, 9 o'clock. This is 12 o'clock. It's essentially the same sound,
Right.
When you go here, it's really the same sound. And that was intentional. That's part of, the design of this is meant to be this clean, dynamic, like everything's there. And it really, because of that, like we were talking about distortion, just bringing that, going from a high level of distortion into this, the analogy I think about is like, we were talking about this last night a little bit, but records from the 60s.
Right.
And then in like mid 70s over to 80s, like hardware design changed.
Totally.
We had a lot of solid state stuff and those records just sound different.
Yes.
They're not very like warm, fuzzy, and like a big blankets over you.
Right.
They're very much more like immediate.
Yes.
And to me, that's like the difference between these two. It's like this, it has that like everything's there. And then this is like, big fluffy couch. You know, I sink into. But I don't know.
I mean, but it's interesting because, you know, we played this and I love this. It's almost like if I didn't use a lot of sounds in front of an amp, I would maybe want some of the compression, some of
that character,
the dirt. But then as I think about why I'm drawn to this live for the certain gigs that I do, it's because so many of the sounds are coming from the floor. And this provides just this like insane, stable, clean, reliable platform that kind of no matter where the gain is set, right? It's going to deliver a similar thing. I mean, all knobs at noon, baby, right? And then adjust volume, and it's like, man, it's killer.
And then we'll just go through for them, you know, so like you can hear the deep. So like the character of your bass is still there, but all of a sudden it's like the floor went like up.
Yeah.
This is off.
Yep.
We'll go to the bright. So this is bright on. So it kind of just opens it up a little bit, like almost like takes the blanket off. Let's do both of them. It's kind of like everything's right there, you know?
Without a hint of like breakup.
No, yeah.
Even down low, it's not breaking. Oh, and there's something about that amount of power on a stage. I think the reason I'm remembering now, you know, like look at where the volume knob is on this.
It's
almost off, dude.
That's 7 o'clock. Looks like that.
Yeah,
it's 7.
It's very low. Or like you can think of it as like on 1.
It's barely on.
You know, like you were a kid, you were like, it's so loud, dude, and it's only on 1.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the vibe this has. And I love that because then it feels like there is effortless and endless headroom. So if you have it on a big stage outside it's like there's nothing cooler than like driving a fast car slow.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean? It's like there's so much potential here, but we don't need it right now.
Like,
you know,
electric cars are cool, but every electric car, not feeling gears change is a weird thing because it's like, what are you doing? It's like the roller coaster, right? That initial like, and then you go up. But whereas like cars, you know, in that analog, you know, style, it's just all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's something happening. Like there's a mystery. And anyways, I love this amplifier personally. Like I have like very old vintage Fenders, and I actually end up going to the AG a lot because I kind of like that immediacy. And then certain instruments, like especially like on my short scale basses, I really have been liking the tone hammer through it. Yeah. You know, because I am kind of going after that edge of breakup sound that like you're going. But I'd be happy with either, but I don't know. It's just what speaks to me.
Can we check out your old amazing P bass through it?
You can please play it.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
I trade you?
I'll keep it. Let's go. There we go. That's mine now.
Okay. Oh, well,
there we go. Oh, man, this is beautiful. Jeez. Shout out to Spectre.
Yeah, that's a great bass.
Woodstock.
But, very modern and very intentionally modern.
Very intentionally
and
modern.
Here is a very intentionally not modern bass, right? Oh, right?
That's with the deep and bright in.
Yeah, feel free to tweak it if you want.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I've done. So a little low mid bumped in there. See, and even though it's like, the words we would use are like fast, clean, it's not warm.
No.
It's like it's not sterile.
Not at all. Because it's letting the true nature of the bass come through, and this bass isn't sterile.
No,
right?
No, it's got a lot of junk on it.
It's funky, man. Yeah. You know, like it's so. But you know, a sound that I love is like flat picking on flats.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's so cool for that.
This is cool. Ian Martin Allison's playing my bass. It'll be up on Reverb in an hour.
Oh, come on, dude.
I love it. I don't know about you, but it's always cool to see like other people play your instruments because you're just like, oh, I didn't know it could sound like that. It's like everyone's different. Right. I love that.
Yes, yeah, like different hands make bass sound so different.
And I got like wimpy hands, and you have
beautiful
manly hands.
No way.
But yes, but you know, it's funny. Like again, you would say, oh, P bass flats, 51 style pickup, go through the tone hammer. No,
not necessarily.
You don't necessarily need to do that.
Yeah, it depends on what you want.
Exactly.
And I'm just running right now, just that center
neck pickup,
neck pickup. And it can really, it's really old school. But it's clean. It's clean in a really pleasing way. Because it's letting the character of the bass shine.
Exactly. And that's, those are the kinds of things where I think for like the musicians, listening, you gotta, it's all those little nuances that matter a lot when you're trying to like decide on what amplifier you want.
Yeah.
Think about what's the kind of music you're playing. And if that is the kind of music you're playing where you're grabbing a pick and you're doing that kind of sound, all right, which one, feels like the worn-in pair of jeans? What's the one that I can wear this every day? There's no right or wrong answers.
There's no, it's the best. It's only, it's the best for me.
I think that's going to be the episode title. It's not what's the best. It's the best for me, right? No?
We're going to workshop a little. We're going to find it.
Yeah. And then we're going to write a jingle. So, but that's, it's exactly right. It's not about what's the best. It's about you. And so, with the AG, you got 4 bands. So you can mess with the EQ a lot differently than on the tone hammer, which has this frequency sweep. So I personally like that. Like I like dipping out some of this.
Yeah, what do you do?
I'll play. So I usually end up going like, because the deep and the bass are different frequencies and do different things, right? So this is flat. So I usually dial out some of the upper mids, which already kind of cleans it up a little bit. Like the top end kind of speaks differently. Right, so this is at noon. Now you can hear it's kind of focused. But it's not like that super mid scoop sound.
You're right.
So I dial some of that out, and then I bump this little lower mids to give that little push. And usually that's enough for me, personally. But if I want to just, again, kind of thicken it, I'll go to bass. Which when you bump up the bass here, it's a little bit more tighter and focused than deep.
Right, which is more like a broadband boost.
It's a broadband boost, yeah. Shout out to Pultec. This is more like thickening it up. And that's kind of my sound. Like, that's what I'm playing a lot with this bass.
And it sounds old school.
It does.
Like, it sounds old school, but revealed.
Yeah. It's like there's a sheen that's added, but also just everything's there. And it really, this was an amplifier that made me, like as a player, when I first started using an AG 700, it made me, I don't want to say self-conscious, but conscious more of what I was doing here.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, grindy, warm, tubey can be very forgiving.
Totally. And you kind of hit it really hard and
and
whatever.
Like, I'm having fun. Exactly.
Yes.
Whereas like when you go towards this route, this is a beautiful thing. And, it makes you play differently, but in a great way. So I started paying a lot more attention to like how I was hitting though, kind of the stuff you were talking about earlier, how hard I was whacking, because all of a sudden I had all those little nuances that could come through, and it inspired me differently. So, but yeah, that's my telly bass. Thank you, Ian.
This is such a sick bass.
That was really cool. Yeah, so this is the AG 700 Tone Hammer 5, and so we do Tone Hammer in a 700 too, if you want the extra juice. Woo. And it's a lot of juice. Please be careful with your speakers.
I like that. Be responsible with the volume knob.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should put a warning label on it.
Should be like here.
Right there. That's all you need. We've literally been at 7 o'clock for like the whole thing.
Yeah, that's so true.
Which is pretty wild. But I don't even think we usually say 12, 9 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock on knobs. We never say 7 o'clock. This is the morning setting.
Like almost off.
Barely on. So
but that's a fun feeling as a bass player to feel like your amp has kind of like wild amount of horsepower. That's a really fun feeling to like not crack it over. Yeah. Like I said, man, like as a kid, I'd be like, it isn't even on 2.
Yeah.
That's like a fun, like if you need it, it's there, but probably never going to need it.
No, but we're really happy with, how these came out. I mean, it's a labor of love. It really is. And shout out to Goran Stankovic, our engineer, worked tirelessly, to get these amps ready and built to market. And
I met Shogo, right?
Shogo,
who did the IRs,
helped us on the digital side on the back. So shout out to Shogo Murai and all the people. Sam, it's really cool, what we've got going right now, and I think these amplifiers, it's a labor of love. Also, just aesthetically, we wanted to give it the facelift.
Let's not discount that.
No,
I think they look lovely. I love the new knobs as well. I told you like a long time ago.
Yo, Ian, let me have it with knobs.
Like, come on, man. I don't want those. those rubbery knobs anymore?
No rubber knobs. We've got really cool. Well, I was a big fan of the old 750 style knobs.
Come on, those big.
They were big metal hung. They were expensive knobs. Like these were like some serious knobs.
Yeah.
So we wanted to kind of go something more in that style. And then also like, on the faceplate, you'll notice AG and Tonehammer, they have their own identities now. And, we wanted to let that speak for itself. This is the Tonehammer 500 by Aguilar,
Right. And the fonts really convey that.
And
right. And I love how this font and the vibe and the blue, right? There's like a subtle blue and white also matches the pedal. I mean, and obviously it should, but I just like when I saw it, I was like, because I saw the pedal and
like to me,
very cool.
Tonehammer was like kind of utilitarian. It's got this industrial vibe, but then AG, selfishly, I love like Tron and Star Wars and muscle cars and stuff. So those were the references that we were pulling on. We were saying fast, quick, and this Slanted A, Nick, our in-house graphics team, helped put this together, and that was the inspiration. Like, I'm going fast in my car. What would AG look like if I did that on a blue bike? Cool. In the middle of the Tronverse. So
I love that.
So anyway, so that was the inspiration for that. And then again, Tonehammer, keep industrial. And if keep it familiar. So like for those of you that may have Gen 1s, all the control layouts are the same, so it should feel familiar. And but just again, fresh coat of paint, new shirt. And we're happy.
Redone power sections in the 500s and that additional DI, the IR DI on the back. Freaking
simple but useful.
Totally awesome.
We wanted to make sure there's nothing on there that you kind of don't need, and just keep it utility and let it be a tool. But really happy with that. So these will be coming out, and by the time you hear this, they're going to be out. They're going to be purchasable. So very happy with that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Whew. Shout out, team. We done did it. So, really happy with this.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm going to make you do a CTA for your own thing.
Okay.
Tell people where they can find out about these amps.
So aguilaramp.com for all the info on these, and go support your local dealer. If you buy online, all good too. But man, I'm a big fan of mom and pop shops. And so you're going to be able to find all these amplifiers there. If they don't have it, they can order it for you. And go out there, play, try them, try different cabinets, bring different basses, spend an afternoon at a shop, talk to other musicians, and plug into these amps and see which one inspires you, and go home and make art. We need more art. Yeah.
Love it.
Shout out to Jeff and Pete. Thank you.
Thanks, dudes. Hey, first episode of the pod?
We did it.
Oh, come on, dude. Thanks for having me, man. So
Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah.